You won't believe what happened when this entitled Karen tried to take things way too far just because her son wanted to borrow my car for his graduation day. It all started like any normal request. She asked if her son could use my car for the big event. At first, I thought it was a simple favor, but things quickly spiraled out of control. I had my reasons for saying no, and that's when the real drama began. From polite conversation, it escalated into full-on confrontation. Karen didn't just get upset, she went Elin, acting like the world owed her something. What followed was one of the most intense moments I've ever experienced. You know how some people just don't take no for an answer? Well, she was definitely one of them. Before I knew it, things got so heated that the police were called, and what happened next? Let's just say it was a complete shock, not just for me, but for everyone involved. The scene where 911 cuffed her, I never saw it coming. And trust me, you'll want to hear exactly how it unfolded. This story isn't just about a car or a graduation. It's about boundaries, respect, and what happens when those get completely ignored. I'm sharing everything: the arguments, the surprise twists, and the crazy aftermath. So stick around, because this isn't your average Karen story. There's a lot more behind the scenes that nobody expected. I'm still trying to wrap my head around how a simple no turned into a full-blown legal mess and police involvement. If you think you've heard it all when it comes to entitlement, wait until you hear what happened next. Ready for the full story? You won't believe how it ends. Stay tuned, because this one is wild, and it's just getting started. So, here's the backstory that led to all this chaos. I've known Karen and her family for a little while, just neighbors who sometimes chatted, nothing too deep. Her son was graduating from high school, and she approached me a few days before the big day asking if he could borrow my car. She made it sound like a casual favor, but I had a bad feeling from the start. You see, my car isn't just any vehicle to Mitsnu, and honestly, I'm very careful about who drives it. I told her I wasn't comfortable lending it out, especially for something as important as graduation, where things can easily get hectic. That's when things started to get tricky. Karen didn't take my refusal well. Instead of understanding, she began to pressure me. She said things like, "It's just for a few hours," or "He'll be careful, I promise." But I wasn't convinced. I could sense her tone shifting from polite to demanding. I tried to explain that it wasn't about trust, but about personal boundaries and the responsibility I have for my car. As the graduation day drew closer, Karen's texts and calls increased. She kept pushing, acting like I was being unreasonable or selfish. At one point, she even hinted that she might take matters into her own hands. That made me uneasy. I wasn't sure what she meant, but it felt like a warning. When the day finally arrived, Karen showed up unexpectedly at my door, this time with her son. That's when the confrontation really heated up. It felt like things were about to boil. Over any second, everyone around could tell the tension was thick. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, the situation exploded in front of my aunt. That's when 911 was called. What happened next is something still can't fully believe. The moment Karen got handcuffed, it left everyone speechless. But how did it come to that? What did she do that forced the police to step in? I'll tell you everything next, because this story isn't over yet. Things got intense faster than I expected. When Karen showed up at my door that morning with her son, she wasn't just asking politely anymore. She was demanding. Her tone had completely changed. I could see the frustration in her eyes, like she felt I was standing in the way of something important. Her son, quiet but clearly uncomfortable, stood beside her, hoping I'd just say yes and end the whole thing. I tried to stay calm and explain once again why I couldn't lend the car, but Karen wasn't having it. She started accusing me of being unreasonable and selfish, which honestly caught me off guard. Neighbors nearby began to notice the rising tension. Some tried to step in, offering to help cool things down, but Karen was too worked up. She kept saying things like, "This is my son's big day, and you're ruining it." I felt stuck because I wanted to be respectful, but at the same time, I couldn't let her bully me into giving up my car. It was a tough balance. Then, things took a turn that shocked me. Karen started pacing back and forth, raising her voice. And before I could even react, she tried to grab the car keys off the counter. That's when I firmly told her to stop. The moment felt electric, like it was about to explode. Her son looked even more uncomfortable. Caught in the middle of all this, someone from the street called 911, probably worried about how heated the situation was getting. When the officers arrived, Karen's attitude shifted again. She went from demanding to defiant, refusing to listen or cooperate. The police tried to calm her down, but she kept arguing, escalating the whole thing. Watching her get handcuffed was surreal. No one expected it to come to that, especially on a day meant for celebration. But the story doesn't end there. The fallout was just beginning. Karen decided to take legal action, suing me for refusing to lend her son the car. Suddenly, what started as a simple no turned into a complicated mess involving neighbors, police reports, and heated community talks. Everyone had their own opinion. Some sided with me, others with Karen. The tension in the neighborhood didn't die down. It only grew. There are so many layers to this story: entitlement, respect, boundaries, and the unexpected consequences of one decision. The question is, who really crossed the line? And how will this all end? I'll share more soon, but trust me, it's far from over. The days after that wild confrontation felt like walking on a tightrope. Karen's lawsuit wasn't just a piece of paper. It felt like a storm brewing over my head. Every time I stepped outside, I could sense neighbors whispering, watching, picking sides. Some came up to offer support, while others seemed skeptical, like they were waiting for the other shoe to drop. The tension in the neighborhood was thick, almost unbearable. Karen didn't hold back either. She posted on social media, sharing her side of the story with a crowd ready to judge. Her version painted me as the villain who ruined her son's special day. Comments flooded in, some supportive, some angry, some downright cruel. I kept my distance from all that noise, but it was hard not to feel the sting. This had turned into way more than just a disagreement over a car. The lawsuit meant court dates, lawyers, and endless back and forth that drained me emotionally and mentally. But even with all the legal pressure, the biggest challenge was how this affected everyone around us. The community was divided. Friends I thought I could count on hesitated, and even strangers made assumptions without knowing the full story. It felt like my personal boundaries had turned into a public battlefield. What really shocked me was how Karen's attitude changed behind the scenes. She started showing up unexpectedly near my house, sometimes just to glare or say something. Under her breath, wasn't threatening at first, but it grew more intense. One afternoon, I found a note slipped under my door, demanding I do the right thing before things got worse. I didn't know if I should be scared or angry, but it definitely added another layer of stress. Then came the day of the court hearing. The atmosphere was electric. I could feel the weight of every eye in the courtroom, the tension between Karen's side and mine almost crackling in the air. Arguments were heated, emotions raw. Every word felt like it could tip the balance either way. And right when it seemed like things couldn't get more intense, a surprise piece of evidence was brought forward, something no one expected. That moment shifted everything. The silence in the room was deafening as everyone waited for what would happen next, but I won't spoil it just yet. What followed was a turning point that changed the whole story. Stick around, because you don't want to miss what happens next. Just when I thought things couldn't get any more complicated, the unexpected happened. Right after that jaw-dropping piece of evidence was revealed in court, Karen's lawyer dropped another bombshell, something that caught everyone off guard, including me. Apparently, there was a hidden twist connected to the car itself. According to them, the vehicle was involved in an incident a few months earlier, something I had no idea about. Suddenly, my simple no about lending the car wasn't just about personal boundaries anymore. It became tangled in a much bigger issue that nobody saw coming. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs. This new angle changed every thinker inside, argued it was even more reason why her son needed to use the car for his graduation. K implying I was trying to cover something up or act suspicious. On the other hand, my lawyer scrambled to get to the bottom of these claims, insisting I had nothing to hide. But just hearing all of this was enough to send my stress levels through the roof. Outside court, the community's reaction was even wilder. Suddenly, people were questioning not only the original conflict, but also the car's history. Conversations I had with neighbors shifted from simple curiosity to outright speculation. Friends who had stood by me before now hesitated, unsure what to believe. Karen's social media posts became more aggressive, accusing me of dishonesty, and even trying to sabotage her son's future. At home, I found myself looking over my shoulder more than ever. The tension W. The day of the final hearing arrived, and I could feel the tension in the courtroom like a storm about to break. Both sides were prepared, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. As the judge called the session to order, Karen's lawyer laid out their case, emphasizing the supposed incident involving my car. But then, my lawyer stood up and dropped a bombshell of his own. He had uncovered the truth behind that so-called incident. It wasn't related to me or my car at all. In fact, it was a mix-up with another vehicle entirely, and the police records confirmed it. Hearing that, the courtroom shifted. Karen's confident demeanor faltered, and for the first time, doubt crept into her eyes. The judge asked tough questions, and Karen's side struggled to keep their story straight. It became clear that the lawsuit was based on shaky grounds, fueled more by anger and entitlement than facts. The judge ruled in my favor, dismissing the case and clearing me of any wrongdoing. But just when I thought the nightmare was finally over, the unexpected happened. As Karen was leaving the courtroom, she suddenly stopped, looked back at me with a mix of frustration and something else, maybe regret, said, "This isn't the end." Before I could respond, she turned and walked away, leaving a silence that lingered long after she was gone. Outside, the neighborhood seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. People came up to thank me for standing my ground and keeping my cool through all the drama. But deep down, I knew this story wasn't finished yet. Karen's warning hung in the air, a reminder that some battles don't end with court rulings. That day taught me a lot about respect, boundaries, and how important it is to stand up for yourself, even when things get messy. If you ever find yourself caught in a similar situation with someone who won't take no for an answer, remember this story. Sometimes the hardest part isn't winning the battle, it's knowing how to handle what comes next. So, what do you think will happen? Now, drop your thoughts below, and stay tuned because you never know when the next chapter might begin. After the court ruling, life slowly began to return to normal, or at least as normal as it could be after everything that had happened. Karen didn't reach out again, and the neighborhood settled back into its usual rhythm. The tension that had hung over the block started to fade, replaced by a sense of relief. It wasn't just about the car or the lawsuit anymore. It was about how standing firm on your boundaries can protect you, even when others push hard to cross the line. Looking back, I realized how important it was to stay calm and clear throughout the whole ordeal. Saying no isn't always easy, especially when emotions run high and people you know act out of entitlement. But it reminded me, and hopefully others watching, that respecting yourself and your property matters. You don't owe anyone a favor that makes you uncomfortable. no matter how big or small the request might seem. Karen's story also showed me how quickly things can escalate when communication breaks down. What started as a simple request turned into a legal battle and police involvement because neither side really listened or respected each other's boundaries. It was a tough lesson in patience and the importance of standing up for what's right without losing your cool in the end. I hope this story encourages you to set your limits and hold to them, even when it's hard. It's okay to say no. It's okay to protect what's yours. And sometimes, standing your ground is the only way to avoid bigger problems down the road. Thanks for sticking with me through this wild ride. If you've ever dealt with a situation where someone refused to respect your boundaries, share your story below. I'd love to hear how you handled it. Until next time, take care and remember, your peace of mind is worth fighting for.